Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another week here at Heart Conditions. Happy Monday to you. It's going to be a great week, I believe, for us as a people, for the church, for us individually. And so today, I want to start off looking in Philippians chapter 1 and verse 12. But to give you a little background, Paul is writing from prison, and isolation was probably not his plan or his idea of what was going to transpire in this setting, and he ended up sitting there in prison. And he writes in Philippians chapter 1 and verse 12, he says, "Now I want you to know, brothers and sisters, what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. As a result, it has become clear through the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I am in chains for Christ." And so we, reading through this, even though we know he was in prison, he says, I want you to know it's clear that this has happened to actually advance the gospel. Not just because people didn't like me or because of my situation or my circumstance, but this is God's will for the advancement of the kingdom. In Philippians 1:13, he makes it pretty clear to the church that the gospel was being shined through his life and through his imprisonment. And I think as a church, sometimes we can take a good example from him and understand that our situations happen to us whether we like it or not. And so we can have disrupted plans in our life. We have all these plans. I know 2 months ago we had a bunch of plans of what was going to happen this year. Maybe you had your vacation planned out. Maybe you had some other ideas of things, or your job, or all these kind of things. And all of a sudden, here we go, and our lives have been disrupted by COVID-19, by whatever else you're facing right now. And we can kind of get depressed about it until we begin to look to God, the author and the finisher of our faith, and realize that there is something taking place that can move us from despair to hope in the middle of this time, and it can be a light to those around us. So don't despair when you go through this. He said the whole palace guard knows. In other words, every person that I've come in contact, everybody I've talked to. So when you're in the middle of your disrupted plans, do the people you talk to know that you're a Christian based on your attitude, based on your action, based on the life you're living? Because to be a Christian isn't about taking a title and stamping it to you. I've got this shirt on that says faith today. I like it. But just because I'm wearing the shirt doesn't mean I am faith, and it doesn't mean I have faith. It just means I put on a shirt with a nice little slogan on it. A lot of people approach Christianity from this same standing, is that I'm just going to put on this tag called Christianity, and that's going to make me saved. But scripturally, that's not even a correct understanding of how we live life. In reality, the word Christian means to be Christ-like. It says that they called them Christians at Antioch first, because they looked at their lives and said, hey, these people live like the Christ, like Jesus did. And so they began in the middle of their persecution, in the middle of their problems, in the middle of their disrupted plans, instead of getting angry and frustrated to the point to where they didn't live a godly life in front of all men. They actually turned that around, and they lived a Christian life. They lived a Jesus life. Let's call it that. They lived a Jesus life in front of everybody in the middle of their problems, and it became a witness for them. And so I want to ask us a few questions today through our devotional that makes us think a little bit. Here we go. Number one, picture the faces of the people around you in the middle of this time of adversity. How do they see your reactions? Think of the last time you went through a trial. How did you behave? If you did not behave in a Christian attitude or way, then you need to do some self-examining. Is the way that you carried yourself encouraging them to want to be a Christian, or is the way you act, and I'm not going to put this all on you, but is the way you act causing people to say, well, Christians are all hypocrites? And the last verse we're going to look at is in Proverbs chapter 14, 26 through 27. Whoever fears in the Lord has a secure fortress, and their children, and for their children it will be a refuge. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, turning a person from the snares of death. And so during this time, if you'll look to Jesus, the word there, fear, means to respect. And if you'll look to Jesus during this time, and you'll allow him to cause you to rise above this disrupted life that we are in, it will be a refuge for your children, and it'll be a fountain of life for you, and it will turn people that are around you from the snares of death to life. God bless you today. I hope you have a wonderful day. This has been another week, another day of Heart Conditions.